all put back together. Let's throw it on the engine and see if it runs. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're picking up on this Craftsman YT3000 with the Craftsman 21 horse engine. This had a self-destructed counterweight arm internally, which we rebuilt in a previous video. Today we're going to throw it on the machine and throw some oil in it and make sure that this thing is going to run. So let's go throw it on and we'll go from there. Exhaust hooked back up. Come on now. There we go. Just 2 bolts. And I didn't realize when I took this apart that the exhaust breaks right at the muffler too. It's not connected to the muffler, it just pops right out. So I could have just did that, but that's all right. Let's see here, we got almost done on this side. Okay, we got this connector, or harness. Should go, those two are the empty ones, should go like that. You gotta get a wrench to hook up the starter. That just goes on here. Okay, I'll tighten that down. I just have to go get a wrench. Other than that, let's check out the other side. We have to get our fuel line hooked up. So I just had this pinched off. Get that on like so. That's good. Now there's a little breather. That goes to the, it's like a return for the gas tank. That just sits on the intake. Now now the throttle cable so this connects. Probably should have did that first. Goes in. It's kind of twisted right now. Should go in here. Like so. And then gets retained by this little retainer clip. So that's good. Unfortunately, I think we're probably going to have to take off some of the shroud again to get the carb linkages. So let's go ahead. Well, I guess it all comes off in one big unit. So we'll do that. I need a 10 millimeter and 7/16 wrench. And so here are the linkages. The choke runs from the first hole in the black plate through this little slot here. So that way when you push up on the throttle and choke combination lever, it engages the choke, and that works smoothly. And the throttle is governed, so that's working as well. There we go. So now we should be set to put our fuel solenoid cable back on. We'll pop the cover back on. One thing that I wasn't quite sure on, couldn't remember, this tin here seems to just be kind of floating. I don't know if the cover is supposed to hold it, but it's got one bolt on the bottom side, and it didn't have much of a good grip on the top, so maybe I just didn't have it in quite right. We'll try it again and see if we can get a better fit this time. I don't know if you can see up there, but right there, that metal tab goes on the outside and there's one on the inside, so it just kind of pinches the shroud, and I guess that's all that holds the top side. So now we just have our 4 bolts to put back in. The 2 shorter studs go in the front, 2 longer ones go in the back, and then our 1 little screw goes there, and that's it. Alright, I just finished putting some fresh oil in here, just under 1.25 quarts. It's a little high on the mark, but that's okay. It'll go down after we run it, and then I'll test it if and when this thing runs. I have the spark plug out right now. I'm just turning it over by hand because I want to get some of that oil moved around, and then I'm going to bump it with the starter too, just to spin it, get some stuff moving, you know, check for leaks and all that kind of stuff before we fire it. All right, let's do that. Parking brake is on. We're just going to spin it. That should be good. All right, everything's back together, hood's on, spark plug is back in. I'm gonna hold it. It's got a choke on. It's probably gonna take a while to fire just because we have to prime the fuel. Let's go take a look at the deck.
Lower than the black one.
Yeah.
It feels faster than
That's awesome.
yeah.
It runs well, idles smoothly, fires right up, and there's no banging and clanging from that counterweight. So I'm happy about that. Actually, I'm really happy about that. That sounded great. So now we can move on to the deck. And this was the original problem. This was the original problem for why the customer contacted me. When I was doing the initial diagnosis at their place, I found cracked belts. Well, this deck belt is all cracked, so we got to order a new belt. But I was gonna check all of our pulleys just to see the condition. I'll probably lube those up a little bit, but then on the back side, there's some play here in this spindle, so we're gonna do new bearings. This one's fine, but the bearings I'm gonna get come in a pack of 4, so I may or may not replace those as well. Blades are in pretty good shape, very dull, but we'll keep those and just give them a sharpen. So I gotta get the belt and these bearings. We'll get this deck squared away, throw it on here. We'll have another good running machine. I'll bring you guys back after those parts come in. In the first video, we discovered that there was some internal engine damage. The counterweight arm had broken. And then in the second video in this series, we put that all back together, got it on the machine and got it running. So that was super cool. And as I recall, it ran really, really well. Which leads us to this final repair. And the original I guess reason why I was called was that the deck was making some noise for the customer. I had looked at it, figured out that at least one of the bearings was bad, and then it wasn't until afterwards that I discovered the engine damage. So hopefully this should be a fairly quick and easy repair. We just got to do some bearings and the new belt. But I got to get this done because I've got, let's see, today's Wednesday, and I've got a whole lot of other equipment coming in. I got to do pickups on Friday and Saturday, so a lot of cool stuff coming up. So a 7/8 socket to take the pulley out. break it. Probably not. Alright, that's one. And then we'll set this down so I can get the blade off. A whole lot of grass under here. I gotta clean and wax this machine too once we're all done. I had a socket pulled off. Let's see, I think it was it 9/16 or 5/8? Is 5/8. So these blades are in good condition. I will just sharpen those up after we're all done. Now, back on the top. Take pressure off this brake, slide the pulley out, and tap this spindle out. And that should hopefully bring the bottom bearing with it. We're loose there. Is that a seal or is that like a built up? That's some kind of seal. Well, maybe we won't be finishing today. We'll see. But I thought that should have driven this bottom there. So we got this bearing we got to get off, and the top one I think we can just take a socket extension and drive it out from the bottom here. That's free. And let's confirm bearings look right. That one's okay. I mean, it's got a little growl to it, but this one has more play. So that, I think, is our culprit. That being said, now I gotta try to get this one off. This thing around here. And you can see there's like a actual, almost like a wear mark. This side does not have that at all. That's got it. I mean, it's almost to the point where it looks like there was some kind of a seal there. I think this is just, I don't know. It's got kind of a plasticky feel. Or like, it's definitely not just grass. So I'm gonna have to look at the parts diagram for that too, because I don't know what that would be off the top of my head. But I guess for now Man, this thing's dirty under here. But it's in good shape. It's not all beat up, it's not all rusted out, it's just got a bunch of grass. So for now, I guess let's just put on the two top bearings so I don't lose them. Wonder how, that other one just popped right out. I wonder how much manipulation they're gonna need. Probably not much. That one's in. That one's in. So I just wanted to share with you some of the confusion that I had with ordering these bearings for the deck. If you look at them, it's fairly obvious that they're different size, but when I was looking at the parts diagram, got a part number 15 for the upper bearing and nothing for the lower. So I thought, okay, well, they're just the same size. I ordered the bearings before I actually took the old ones out, so that's why I was confused. And actually on the MTD version of the Craftsman deck, apparently they are the same size. Anyways, I went back later and I was trying to find the right size, and the bearing is included with this part number 13, which is the spindle, and it's a press fit bearing, which is why I had a hard time getting the old ones off. That's fine and all, but if you look up part 13, which is this number here, 192872, it's the same thing as this entire, what they call a mandrel, the whole unit. So then you look at 14 and it's the whole unit, even though they're separate numbers. The old bearings, I tried to find the number on them. All or most bearings have the number stamped on them, and they were so worn and old that I couldn't find them. The only reason or way that I was able to figure out which size was that somebody had an eBay listing for a set of all four, and they had the numbers listed on there. So it's a 6203 for these top bearings, and it's a 6204 for the bottom. This is a 6204, and that looks like that's going to fit perfect. So I want to drive these in to the deck first, and then I'll try to fit the spindle shaft into there. I've had that spindle sitting in the freezer for a couple weeks or a couple days, so hopefully that'll make installation a little bit easier. So I'm going to set you up and try to drive these ones in, and we can move on. I want to get on the outer race, or the metal part on the outside of the bearing, and hit that part, so that way I'm not preloading that bearing sideways. I'm just going to give it a couple taps to start it. If this was difficult, you could put the bearing in the freezer too, just for a little bit to shrink it up, but I think we should be okay. There we go. There's one. There's two. And hopefully with these being cold, they will have shrunk, so they'll just slide right in. Like so. Like so. Since I have this side available to me, I can go ahead and put my blades back on. I did sharpen and balance these. Obviously they're not, I'm not going to be able to tighten them up yet. I just want to get the bolts on started so that way things are moving along and I got something to grab onto when I go to tighten the other side. There we go. Now we can stand it up and try not to let these fall out, which this deck is kind of hard to maneuver around with these wheels on. Like that. Okay, there's that one. And then I need a wrench on this side. My base can do it. Yep. All right. Let's run these home. There's two. Those of you who are astute, no doubt realized I forgot to put these on. So let's go ahead and do that. Those go on top of the bearing as a spacer. Right, that doesn't really want to thread on now. This one. Same thing over here. Let's see if we can figure out the belt pattern. Remember, it has to go out the front like that. So then it would have to come around here, like so. And then like that. And that. That look right? Is that? I suppose there's a diagram right here. So around there, around there. Yep, looks good. Now we got these two belt guards. I think this one must go here. These are a T30 Torx bit. I know the bottom of the deck is really gummed up with old grass and debris and stuff. And I could wash it out now while it's off the machine. But I've got a whole bunch of machines that need to get washed. So after this one is complete and tested, I will spend a day washing several instead of getting the pressure washer out for just one at a time. And when I do that, I'll put it on the mower lift, raise it up so that way I can wash out the bottom of the deck. Now, let's see if we can remember how this all goes together. Should be fairly simple. We got two, I want to say there's 4 draft links. This one's not really getting any tighter. Kind of stripped out, it seems. There's this one in the front. Don't remember exactly how that goes on, but we'll figure it out. Let's slide it into position and go from there. All right, what do you see? I see, well, let's see. These lift arms go to where? These ones, you can't see nothing. All right, so on both sides, there are lift linkages. I'm gonna have to lift this a tad to get on there. Okay. And then there's that one too, right there. So then there's only there's 3 washers. I don't think the front ones had them. I think the back ones did. So it's a washer and then these funny kind of clips. So you gotta kind of bend it out while pulling back. So bend it out and then it's hung up on the washer. So when you take it apart, you gotta bend it out and then pull it out. But I guess it just slides right in. So let's do the one on the other side. Bottom one here. I think they're supposed to point backwards, if I remember right. Is that one? There's that one. And that one. Okay. Now for the last one, there's got to be, wait, was that? Yeah, so this front link goes through the center hole, down here, and we've got some adjustment to make because we're way off on the length of it. I think this would be one of the bigger ones though. Okay, there's a lot of slop in the front, but that has room to adjust with a nut, so we'll deal with that. As far as the belt, slides up and over this U bracket. That's on the outside. Up and over on the outside, on each side, and then right there. We got some space, and then yeah, I forgot. This is a manual linkage, so we're missing. I think we're missing a cotter pin on the engagement. Let's see here. This cable. Where did that go? A 0. Did it just run along the body like that? Or did it go through here? Ultimately, it's got to get to right here. That's where this notch is in. And then there's a cotter pin that goes there. And it runs along the frame because it clips into this little clip there. I don't remember exactly where it came out through. But it goes here, clips in there, and then right back here on this idler, there's a hole for this spring to grab onto. So let me see if I can get that with you seeing any of it. I want to see. It's easier to get the spring in first before you clip it in. So that way you're not trying to fight the tension on the spring. And I can't see anything because you guys are there. All right, spring is in. All right, deck is in. raises and lowers. I still have to get it. See, I gotta check that. I think this little catch here is broken because it keeps sliding off. I might have to just put a zip tie on there. And I gotta get a cotter pin in there too. Okay, we got the deck on. Seems like it engages well with the new deck belt. I haven't fired this thing up in a little while, so let's see how it does. I gotta put you on the hood here. Put this thing in choke. I got one spot I gotta cut. Well, I'm pretty happy with that. It runs, it drives, it cuts. I suppose, can we see if the lights work? I don't know which position it has to. Yeah, I'm not sure on this one. Because it's not crank. Unless. I don't even. Did I? You know what? No, they're connected. I don't know. I have to look at that a little bit, but. I got it pulled over to the side, ready for washing. So, like I said, I got a couple machines to wash, and this will be one. I'll bring you guys back after it's all nice and clean. Here's the final result after a wash and a wax. Turned out pretty well. So I got to contact the owner, the previous owner of this machine. She had contacted me and said that her brother might be interested in having it and they would just pay me for the repairs. If not, she said I could just have it. So then I'm free to just list it myself. So I got to see what she wants to do. But for my purposes, we are done with this one. So if you have any questions or comments, please let me know in the comment section below. And until next time, thanks for watching.